Usually on this show, we talk about the battles that go on a basketball court. And more specifically, we cover the Golden State Warriors here. We try to be accurate. We try to have some fun in the process so we don't bore you while we discuss hoops. But today, we're not going to be talking about the battles on the court. We're going to be talking about the battles that take place in boardrooms, and more specifically, between agents and owners. And the agent joining the show today is Aaron Turner, Jonathan Kaminga's agent. Most NBA agents you're unfamiliar with for good reason. They're not supposed to be a part of the story. But the JK standoff took center stage for the whole summer. And so a lot of you, for better or worse, became familiar with this individual. And now he's going to join the program. So let's have some fun. Aaron Turner on the Golden Daze. Here we go.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. Leave me alone this summer.
Woo! Let's go. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up.
Welcome to the Golden Daze, brought to you by FanDuel. And I see our guest of honor sitting in the green room. He joins us next. Really quickly, Aaron, sit tight. I'm going to give some love real fast to one of our sponsors right now, and that is DeleteMe. And we are elated and thrilled to have them sponsoring us for a limited time. And they provide a tremendous service. It's all about either scrubbing your digital footprint, meaning if you made mistakes in your past, this service can help you out. They make it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Data brokers make a profit off your data. Your data is a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, harassment, but now you can protect your privacy with DeleteMe. They protect you, both present and past. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for DeleteMe now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your DeleteMe plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/pro and use the promo code PRO at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/pro and enter the code PRO at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/pro and use the promo code PRO. And last but not least, really quickly, FanDuel, our official title sponsor. The Warriors play tonight, their final exhibition game. They take on the LA Clippers in the final tune-up before the regular season. I am so excited to be talking hoops on a regular basis again. The season is back. I'm feeling damn good about your Golden State Warriors. And so do the bookies. They have the Warriors favored by 2.5 in tonight's preseason clash. The OU 225.5. And here is Aaron Turner, Jonathan Kaminga's agent. Again, Aaron, I was building you up before I brought you on by saying that player agents are not typically notorious, meaning like you're not supposed to be known by name, or maybe you do. I don't know. You tell me, but. Like this summer suddenly did thrust you, though, into the spotlight because of this crazy standoff that went on for 3 months. First of all, Aaron, let's say hello. I was jumping right into it. You run a player agency called Verus. I hope I pronounced that correct.
Yep,
People can follow you on social media at ARockTurner20.
Right.
How are you doing, brother? It's great to finally meet with the camera turned on.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm better than I was on September 28th. So,
right.
No, it was fine. It was a funny experience. But no, it's good. You know, fully in the preseason now. Today's some guys getting cut, some guys getting two-way good news. Yeah. So it's kind of still an active day. But all in all good.
And you and I, before we started recording, we're talking about like the Warriors fan base and how you got an interesting firsthand look at it when you started going on social media and seeing some of the narratives and a lot of the messaging pertaining to your client, Jonathan Kaminga, a player who, side note, for the last 3 years on this program, we've been defending. And I didn't think I'd have to defend anybody, but I like it's immorally felt wrong. It ethically felt wrong. I just didn't, from a humanitarian perspective, it just seemed crazy that this young individual with all this insane talent was basically like being treated like a secondhand citizen. That's how I interpreted it, and I wasn't happy about it. And and I don't like to I don't do hero worship. Like I don't, like, for example, Steve Kerr. He's earned the reverence and the respect, I think, but at the same time, he's still a human being, and human beings make mistakes. And I thought he was making a colossal mistake with your client and with the youngsters in general. And all that builds up to this last summer and this contract standoff, and then you get a taste of the fans yourself. And if you don't mind repeating what you were telling me beforehand, what was your experience like hearing from Warriors fans directly on social media and seeing the conversation about Kaminga firsthand?
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't set out to, if you asked me in May, are you going to be on like Warrior podcasts and talking to people, all the media? I was like, no, why would that happen? No, Warriors fans they're nuts, but it's good. I'm from Cleveland, so I understand passionate sports fans. Obviously they've won a lot more, you guys have, and I get a kick out of it. It's a very divided group in their own ways, which is like so interesting to me. And JK just became such a polarizing figure, and it was fascinating to me because he didn't really do anything. We were just, kind of finally playing our hand, and it turned into, he became such a polarizing figure, and it became to the point where like there were, you see people who just dislike him, and you're like, this sounds so personal for somebody who's really never done anything. And, I think a big part of why, like, when I came out and spoke to everyone, for him, for me too, is like, I don't think people really know him and know what he stands for. And he's about the right stuff. I mean, I think, what's kind of been cool, and it's early, but the preseason has kind of even brought some of the people that maybe weren't as excited about him and seen the passing and the winning plays he's been making. And even people that I think it's probably they're cringing while they're complimenting him. It's almost like they're having to do it. And it's not that JK's, or me, or of course him setting out to turn anyone, but he really has a drive to be great, and he understands what that means. Like I think in this whole thing somewhere it got lost of like, this guy doesn't want to win, or he doesn't want to do these things that help winning, and he does, and he's so driven, and he has such a pure basketball heart. That's what I love about him.
Yes.
And so I, just kind of got myself into this as the summer went on, and I'm like, okay, not just from the Warriors fan base, from just in general, like there's some narratives that need to be corrected, and the truth about JK needs to come out and what he's trying to do. And he's not some guy that just wants to score 30 on a bad team. Like,
exactly.
That's offensive. Like, no, that's not what he's trying to do. And I think the playmaking early on is showing, like, I'm not saying it's perfect. It's still a work in progress, but he's thrown 5 or 6 passes at least this preseason where you're like, oh, wow. Like that ground ball he threw to Buddy, that was like
beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting like Andre Iguodala vibes from JK this preseason. Is that close to what you're seeing? Is that comparable?
I mean, Andre was, great player.
Maybe it's unfair to make that comp. I'm sorry.
I think, what you're seeing from JK is somebody who understands he can get wherever he wants on the floor. And when I get there, how am I going to make everyone around me better? I mean, we talk about that at length. And this is the cool thing about JK. I challenge him with these things. We speak about it. I don't think, people know this, and probably on the podcast, we didn't really get into this, but like he really wants to be great. And he's like a sponge for like, what does being great mean, especially in like the modern NBA. Right. And, making, what I always tell him is there's a lot of guys that can get 30, man. Like you can go back and look at, spans a game where guys score and they do it inefficiently, or maybe they win a little bit, but like, can you score and make guys around you better? I'm like, that to me is when you hit another level.
Yes.
Can you use the advantages you create to make the game easier for the guys around you, and then have a motor and bring it defensively? And like, he cares about that stuff. And I'm not saying with any young player it's just like a perfect line, but like, I think what's been cool about this preseason game, especially the other day, is you saw one of those moments where you're
Yes.
like, damn, like that's a hell of a first half this guy's playing. He's making the right plays, he's getting where he wants, he's guarding, he's rebounding. And I think if you've watched JK over the last few years, especially last year, there were pockets of time, especially before he got hurt, where it was like, yo, it's really clicking. So, I just find it interesting. Like it's almost like there's a lot of Warriors fans. It's like, oh God, he played good. Oh,
Like they're struggling to praise him. Yeah, they're it's like
he was 6 for 7 from the field, but he probably should have been 7 for 7.
Well, Aaron, I don't know if you agree with this sentiment, because fans are going to be fans, right? And they're going to be passionate, and there's going to be emotion. But for me, the culpability here lies in terms of just the false portrayal, the very poor characterization of Kaminga as a whole. My close friend Connor Turner wrote a profile piece about JK years ago, which I thought really captured what his early years, including high school, his upbringing in the Congo, and it really captured just like the kid who is just who loves basketball. But Connor, first of all, doesn't cover the Warriors anymore, and secondly, I feel like the blame in terms of just, again, poor analysis ultimately lies in the Bay Area media scene. And believe me, they've been in my crosshairs for a little while now. It's a huge reason why I even got back into the media scene. Aaron, I don't know if you're familiar with this. Like, I've been covering the Warriors for 25 years, but I stepped away like for a few years in the 2010s, right when like social media really started to explode. And then I saw like certain individuals like really getting a huge amount of gravity in terms of like opinions being valued and information being taken and folks running away with it. And the more I saw, the more I kind of cringed, like, because a lot of it was inaccurate. A lot of it was borderline hero worship, just echoing whatever Steve Kerr said. And thankfully, like, our audience, I call them the highest IQ for the Warriors fan base. Like we keep growing because, like, I stepped in as someone who has played this game my whole life, who studied my whole life, who's covered the Warriors for again, my nearly my entire adult life. And I don't mean to just be the contrarian here, the devil's advocate to what everyone else is saying. I'm literally just trying to be honest and accurate. And it goes back again to a media scene that I am very critical of. In your opinion, what's your take on the local Bay Area media scene? And sorry if that's too tough of a question. You don't have to mention names or anything like that. But that to me is where the issue lies, is the amount of people actually getting paid for their opinions, getting paid for information, and they're coming out and just literally parroting Steve Kerr talking points. And to me, that is such a low IQ type of approach. Your thoughts on the Bay Area media scene? And sorry if I'm being too harsh here on.
Listen, Steve's a Hall of Fame coach, legend. Like, I get, a lot of people probably, you're not going to question, what a lot of great coaches say. But I mean, listen, great coaches, whether it's Steve, Eric Spoelstra, Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, whoever it is, like, they're wrong too at times. Like, they can't be. I mean, again, Steve's a great coach. He's made JK a better player. There's no doubt about it. And I think right now they're doing very well in terms of figuring out how to blend this roster. It seems like Steve's really happy with what he's seeing from JK, what he's seeing from the roster. I think JK's coming back healthy, making an effort to do a lot of stuff, rebound, be everywhere, guard, make the right play, all that stuff. Almost sometimes like just score. We get it. Your playmaking's involved. But long story. So getting back to your question, I think it takes more of a little bit of deep thought to just not regurgitate what anyone else is just going to tell you. And I think in the world today of like analytics and looking at stuff, like data can be spun in a lot of ways, right? Like, I'm an agent, so trust me, I can make it look good. I can make it look ugly. I can find the silver lining. And I think, in today's world of like analytics, and somebody says, well, this isn't happening, and then you kind of go down this rabbit hole, but there's so much like context around when you look at data points or how a player's playing or what they're going through maybe off the court. And, that all factors in. So like, for example, like one of the things I think you see so far in the preseason with JK is like, he's just playing very like calm, free. Like, how do you quantify that exactly? Right. So you can send me all you want. Oh, his BPM, his EPM, his Darko rating wasn't as good. But like, what if it's a situation where he's frustrated? What if any player I rep, right? They're not comfortable in their role versus now they are comfortable, and now the data starts to go. The winning impact starts to go. Like, does that? So I just think it's takes a lot more going under the hood, thinking, posing questions. Why is this happening? As opposed to like, oh, this is just what I've been told, or this isn't. And I just think like people, and I see this with podcasts all the time, and I tried to make a point of this, especially when I hear Steve talk. I don't want to take a clip of what he said and not the whole context. Like at the end of the season when Steve said, and first of all, it's a week after the season. So, coaches especially have time to decompress. Everybody feels differently 2 months after the season than they do 1 week after the season. But, when you look at what Steve said, he never said JK is not a good player or won't be a good player. He said, with the roster I have, the fit is clunky. And it's still in preseason, the Draymond, Jimmy, JK minutes weren't great. So there still is some clunkiness there. He didn't say, though, and I think what went from that was, oh, we're winning without JK. He came back. Now we lost 4-1 against Minnesota. And the minutes with Jimmy, Draymond, and JK weren't good anymore, or the ratings weren't good. And this is all just JK's fault. I think that's just how people took it. Versus if you like, Steve didn't really say that. And if you really look at that, you have to not look at like a highlight of a 15 seconds of a podcast and say, okay, like what was said? Because if you really look at it, JK and Steph have been fine over the years. Last 2 years, Steph's been better with JK on the floor. Draymond has been fine with JK. Steph, Draymond, JK have been better with JK on the floor. It was this very small patch of time where Jimmy came in and JK's coming off an injury and he can't find his footing. And then, people can like really who aren't going to really get their head around exactly what's going on can kind of run with that a little too much of like, hey, he's not a winning player. And then it's kind of gotten out of control, right? Like he's not a winning player. He doesn't do the things that, and it's like, and
Aaron, in case people forgot, Jonathan Kaminga, your client, owns a championship ring. He was starting games in the postseason of a championship run. So any narrative where he's not a winning player, I know that like he wasn't a huge part of that, but let's dismiss the whole like not being a winning player. So when
you say to me the media, I think a lot of the media took that way too far, and I think their own spin on that and took it to a place where I'm like, that's not really what was said, and I think in terms of like I saw early in this season, and sometimes it's just like how a question can get asked in the context the question comes out. And in the media, to me, kind of has a responsibility to not push that, but that's not what happens. Like I think there was a quote about JK early on when he said, ask Steve, or I don't know my role. That's not what he meant. What he meant was, look, like I know my role. Like I'm not in control of it, so I'm not going to waste my energy asking Steve what he wants me to do because I know what Steve wants me to do. I don't need to go have 5 conversations about it. And whether it's the role I want every night or not, that's a different question. Like, you know what I mean? Listen, every player who works this, and I don't think this is a knock. Like some people are like, oh, this is selfish. Any great player, including, Kobe Bryant, who's JK's role model and a guy that I listen and read Kobe's statements daily, like, you have to have the personal ambition and the drive and the hunger. Like if you're going to be great and you're going to want to have the ball in your hands, you're going to want to do more. That does not make you selfish. That doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you not about winning. And sometimes you have to be willing to sacrifice that playing with other great players. And sometimes you get to a point in your career, you don't have to sacrifice anything and you can be that guy because you've honed that in. That is the goal, to get to that point, right? Where you can be the first option on a championship team or a championship contender and be you, i.e. a Shea, a Ant Edwards, something like that. That is eventually, or to be one of those guys who leads a contending team. The reality is, like, right now, and again, like, JK can't do that every single night where it's like, hey, everything's going to run through you. We're going to, last 5 minutes of the game, we're going to put the ball in your hands and just, it's that's not necessarily how the Warriors play, which is fine. But two, that's not what it's going to be. But like, that doesn't make you selfish or wrong or bad. And I think like that's been spun in a ridiculous like manner. Like, I love that JK wants to be great. I love that he wants to be part of it. I love that he wants to keep pushing the envelope. And I won't take that away from him or tell him he's wrong for feeling that way.
And a huge reason, Aaron, why I wholeheartedly agree with you is Rick Barry, the Hall of Famer, one of the greatest ever, is a close friend of mine, a close friend of the program. He's a very regular guest. And like, him and I both talk about Mamba mentality, like what it takes for the true greats, like a Kobe Bryant, like a Rick Barry, like a Michael Jordan, like a Stephen Curry. It's a cutthroat a drive where it's just a very narrow focus. And anyone who watched The Last Dance saw, firsthand Michael Jordan, his testimonials to what it takes to achieve that level of greatness. And it's wild to me how many people, for whatever reason, spun that as a negative. When it came to Kaminga wanting that same thing, all I see when a player like Kaminga has that drive is admiration. Like, you have to have that mentality. And again, everything your client, Jonathan Kuminga, has said and done has impressed me. And it blew me away how many people do not take it as such. And you brought up that Mark Spears interview. And side note, that was a great interview. I was critical of those certain people. And I feel like that crowd's getting smaller because, like you said, man, this preseason has been fantastic. Kuminga's look great. And believe me, it's making me happy as much as anybody. I'm sure you're giddy, brother. But it's just like, it's crazy how many people seem to not respect that. Like, I do. And that Mark Spears interview, again, it was like 25 paragraphs. And people took one paragraph and they even cut out the sentence in there where Kaminga added, like, I've asked and I never get a clear answer. So there's just no point. I'm just going to put my head down and work. And I thought it was a good answer. And all the rest of the story, like, really details all the positives. And you have that small group that did that nitpicked that one paragraph. Yeah, and there you go.
I think it'll always be a little of that. But, again, like, it's just there's a faction of, I think, and learning the Warriors fan base, right, that like, there's a frustration that maybe more vets haven't been around Steph or they haven't gotten that veteran free agent. I mean, they did with Jimmy, but, right, prior to that, and then Joe's interview, like earlier in the week, I think it was, when he said, past 30, like, I wasn't sure. So it's everyone's like, well, yeah, is that I don't think JK has anything to do with that. I think he's just here trying to, and then you get people, during the offseason are like, why isn't he working on defensive slides and ball screens? It's like, you've clearly never been around an NBA player. Like, nobody's waking up early in the morning to like go work on that. Trust me, we talk about that off camera. JK is running a lot of sprints. We do a lot of defensive work, but like, I'm not waking up at like 6:30 in the morning to just go rim run. Like, I could right. Point in time, like, if I'm waking up early, like, I want to work on my game. I want to have the ball in my hands. I have a saying I always use with my guys, but I think with JK, it like is huge, is, protect your floor, but push for your ceiling. Right. So like, do the things that are obviously very important, but let's push for your ceiling. Right. Because if you don't push for your ceiling in the NBA, a lot of people won't. Right. Because on a lot of organizations, this is not exclusive to the Warriors. You're going to go somewhere and you're going to get a role, right? Like, this is what we need you to do right now, especially on winning teams, right? You have to go outside of that if you want to be great. Like, no great player has just followed the script of exactly what their organization or coach has told them. Like, I don't care who it is. There's a certain point that you're going to say, I see something in myself that everyone else doesn't see. And if you don't have that, and if you really look at successful people all across the world, and I tell JK this all the time, like, if you're going to be as good someday as you want to be, like, you can't listen to what anyone else says about it, because they're going to tell you you're wrong or that you can't do it. You have to see it. And that's the same of Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, right? It's not just basketball. It's way past that. So he has that. I don't want to ever take that away from him. And if people hold that against them, I mean, that's their issue. But I'm hoping, piece by piece, people are going to realize like there was a plan here. He's about the right stuff. And again, it might not happen overnight and it might not be a perfect line, but piece by piece, just continuing to show everybody what he's about. And, I think as we went, into this negotiation further and talked about the negotiation, like, JK, that's great, but JK has a lot to prove across the league past negotiating or trying to prove a point to the Warriors. This was never about that. It was never like, oh, let's win a negotiation. Like, that's so small in terms of like, where you go. And I talk with JK and I talk about this, like, you don't look around the NBA as fans and go, whoever got paid the most is the most respected player. I mean, sometimes they happen, but there's also a lot of guys that are paid a lot of money that like, I don't respect this guy's game, or he's not as good. So you can't necessarily say they're exactly correlated. And what he's looking to do and where he's looking to go is not about a number on a salary cap book, you know?
Absolutely. Denny Emmerman of the San Francisco Standard wrote an excellent profile piece on you. Was it accurate? Did you get a chance to read it?
I didn't read. I read some of it. I swore a little too much in it. I didn't know that was going to be in there, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I bring that up because I had a lot of questions about you personally that I thought were answered in that story. That's why I just wanted to make sure first and foremost that it was accurate. Like, I didn't know how you got into the agency game until it revealed in that story that you and Terry Rozier connected early on. You have a strong basketball background yourself, which makes a lot of sense because when you and I had conversations, like I immediately could tell your shit when it comes to hoops. It's an easy thing to figure out early, right? If someone's been around the game their whole life or not. But one thing that wasn't answered in that story, and I'm very curious about, is how did you and JK connect, and when did that happen?
Yeah, so it was like during COVID, and it was weird because it's hard to find places to like work out and be in a gym for a lot of guys. And, he was looking at the Ignite route, maybe Australia, maybe going to school. And when he, decided he was going to do Ignite and stay in the draft, like my whole pitch to him is like development. We're going to invest in your development. I mean, that's how we started the agency. I didn't want to be an agent. Like when people talk to me and like criticize me as an agent, like it doesn't mean much to me because I'm like, okay, I don't care.
What did you want to be?
I'm a coach, trainer. Like I love the game and I trained a lot of guys. So Terry, I worked with for years. And then I just said, hey, you know what? I'm interested also in the business side of things. And I want to build an agency that we really focus on development the best we can and try to put resources into guys that we think want to be great. And I'm going to push you. I'm not going to be like your fan. And for JK, I think more than anybody, that's totally resonated because that's what he wants. And I think with JK, which connected us and why I think at the end of the day we came together is, and I still remember these conversations of like, hey man, like you really want to be like one of the greatest players, like, of your generation. You want that. And, when I first was around him, even his age, like he worked really hard. I was like, yeah, this guy for, 18-year-old, like, man, he works. And he did, and he answered everything right, which a lot of guys answer questions right. But I just told him, like, things when you want to take this path, like it can be a lonely path. And if you really want to push the envelope, I'm here with you though. And I've said, after seeing him for a little bit of time before he signed, I said, I see what you can be. Like, I totally see it. I'm in on it. You have the inherent competitiveness, you need to have the toughness, right? Like those are two things to be that you have to have. And you could
just like that poster behind you, Mamba mentality.
Yeah. And then you have the drive. So I was like, I'm with it. Like, let's try to shoot for the ceiling, man. Like, let's do it. And JK's always been a contrarian. So have I. Like, I didn't go to a big agency. I came up, I built this from the ground up. I probably, things maybe would have been easier at times if I would have taken that route, but I kind of stuck to like what I thought made sense. And, starting out and just building an agency around what I think is the most important thing, which is like development, truth telling, holding guys accountable for what they got to get better at. Of course, using analytics and data to back that up, but understanding the psychology of players. And I think that's all part of development. And that's why JK, I think, if I had to speak for him, that's why he came with me. He saw that, like, this guy really believes in me and he's going to push me. And that's what I want.
And he had your back, man. This summer, he
yeah.
had your back, dude. I thought that was huge.
Yeah, we have a very special relationship. I mean, we, go through this. We're in the gym together every day. We're talking through it, thick or thin. I know, I don't even look at him like it's like necessarily player client. It's like a partnership. He's like a little brother to me. And so, and I just love what he stands for. Like I always say, he's like, to me, like, I love JK's basketball heart. Like he really wants it. And there's a lot of guys like say they want it, but they don't really want it. Are you willing to, like, he's the only player I've ever seen, especially at his age, tell me, you go to Miami. I've had this happen before where we do a lot of off season. This year we were doing Cleveland, but hey, I want to wake up early. I get up at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. I'm like, all right, let's do it. First couple days. The Thursday, you're calling like, yo, where's the gym? Where are you at? Or, there's a cancellation the night before. I mean, JK did that for 2 months straight, going into his third year and fourth year. Like, go to sleep at, 9:30, 10, be on the court by, whatever it was, 5 a.m. getting worked on. So we, and he didn't have to do that, but it was like, I'm going to discipline. I'm going to show myself that I can sacrifice everything to lock in, especially in a city like Miami. And that's how bad I want it. And that's why I say, like, the kid, JK, like, he really wants it. So,
and Aaron, I don't know if the general NBA fandom and public are aware of this. Most basketball players don't like to get up early. So
right.
the fact that Kaminga is like, and Miami, I know you use the word especially in front of Miami for good reason. It takes a special type of mindset to have that drive. And again, I've seen that from the beginning. My gripe has always been just play him. Kobe did not have a smooth first few years, but he got the minutes. You look at the minutes, man. There were always 30 plus, and any young player needs that. It's always been my argument. Aaron, I know if you don't mind divulging this, I'm so curious.
Yeah.
What is it like to negotiate with Joe Lacob? Because I feel like of anyone to negotiate with on the planet, that is a challenge, man. That is like a Kingslayer. And what is that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, it's, obviously Mike and Joe, Mike is at the forefront. But, like, look, like, I think, there's obviously the feelings involved with this negotiation and how it went. And I don't even think it was more the negotiation. It was more just the exhaustion of, like, again, this is a guy that wants to keep finding out who he is in this league. Right? Like, that's why if you look at this, what's funny is this was not really a hang up on like the dollar amount. Like, that'll work itself out. It was more like, look, like, how long does this keep going on? It's continuing to go on. Even JK's great preseason, I still think it's going on. We don't know where this season's going to go. It could go a lot of ways. It could. Yeah. I mean, look, it's tricky because, like, you can just tell they don't know where this is going to go. And so it's like, I mean, I don't think, like, when you look at the team option realistically, like, do I think it was great in terms of I've made my case on that many times in terms of how I look at that. But from the standpoint of, like, it's not like it was a team option on a 5-year deal or a 4-year deal. It's a very short, weird. It's the only 1+1 that's ever been done off restricted free agency of anybody at this level.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So, like, it's more of like, we got to figure this out. And at the end of the day, like, my thing to JK is like, you got to force Joe and Mike to make decisions here. Decisions need to be made on, this has gone on too long, right? Where you're looked at like is just the guy who's trying to continue to expand and grow your game, as that's not okay. And that is okay. And it's fine. And I still think can equal winning while he's doing that. I don't think they're not, they can happen together. But, so to me, like, I don't think like it would, I mean, how it came out and the approach, like, it's a pragmatic solution, right? Like, if you understand the business, it actually makes a lot of sense, the deal and what can come of it.
opinion, the sentiment I'm getting is that Joe Lacob loves Kaminga. And I know you got to run and sorry again for these technical issues.
He does. Joe definitely likes JK.
Yeah, and here's my guess, and I'm just trying to read the room here, and I could be totally wrong. To me, the only way the Warriors don't give Jonathan Kuminga a long-term deal and a dollar amount that I think would satisfy everyone is if Giannis Antetokounmpo and or maybe LeBron James aren't available. I feel like those are the two names that Joe Lacob would consider trading your client for. I know you can't talk about this stuff in detail.
No, I mean, I can talk about it. I don't.
Is that fair, though? Is that a fair read that I'm making? Like that if the Warriors would move on from Kaminga, those would be the two names?
There's so many patterns how this season can go. In the archetype of player, but all in all, like if I made a bet, I would agree with you. I think Joe has a real belief in JK. I truly believe that. I think JK believes that, and I think it would take something at that level. But I'm hopeful. I think JK's hopeful. I think Steve's hopeful, right? That like, okay, the business is done. Like Mike said, that's part of the off season. And now it's like, okay, how good can this team be? And, can they be special? I have this belief that they could be really good.
I do too.
I think if JK makes the leap, and I said this during his free agency, I said this all summer, like if you really want to analyze Jonathan Kaminga, even the naysayers, look at how he plays against Oklahoma City Thunder. And that's who you got to beat, right?
I brought that up too. Yeah.
The team to beat. So like if JK plays well, I mean, and he's done that against them, I mean, on the road, at home, he guards Shea, he gives them everything they can handle athletically. If that can continue to get maximized, what Jimmy's capable of doing when he gets into a playoff run. Obviously, Steph, they've got some really good players around it. Draymond's obviously, a winner, and it just comes down to how do you make it fit. That's not my job. But I think JK's gotten better. I mean, I haven't heard one person even on Twitter say like that, or that I see anywhere say that JK, they haven't seen the improvements, the growth in his game. I mean, we did a lot of, reading the floor this summer, decision making. And listen, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to make some bad decisions. Basketball's an imperfect game, right? But like you're seeing, like I said, that ground ball pass to Buddy, I thought was like, I'm like, wow, that was like big time. And he's thrown a few. Like that was like to me, like, whoa, like elite pass. And he's thrown a couple. And you just see like he likes to get his teammate a basket, even though when he knows he can. And again, that's another thing of like his growth of like keeping your teammates involved. Like you get somebody an easy bucket. Now they want to roll harder. They want to cut harder. They know the ball might find them. He's taking all that in and processing it. And I think everyone's seeing that. As Steve's talked about it multiple times, right?
He has.
Past JK, like, so that's exciting, along with like I know his shooting and the time he put in on those things, and defensively what he's capable of guarding the ball, and then now healthy with his ankle, rebounding the ball, right? Like if he's doing like what he did against Portland the other day in the first half, like that's a scary dude right there.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, that's why at the beginning of our interview, I brought up Andre Iguodala, because he was such a complete player, handling the ball, defense, pass. The assist numbers to me are what's popping out the most, because the rebounding, we've seen it. That's such a bullshit narrative, Aaron, that he's not crashing the boards consistently. You look at his per 36 numbers. You look at the fact that over his career, he's only averaged 22 minutes per game. His rebounding numbers are fine. I've never took issue with that. He crashes the board. The people who criticize his defense are full of shit, because Steve Kerr himself routinely assigns Kaminga to the best opposing player offensively. He wouldn't do that if he didn't trust Kuminga's defense. But the assist numbers, I've never criticized Kuminga's passing, and I don't think he's bad at it, but I've never really seen the numbers where they are this preseason. He is facilitating And that's a whole other level to the game that we have yet to see.
So
Brother,
is,
look, I try not to be a fan of any individuals, but I'm a fan of Kuminga's, man. And I don't think any of us knows what the end line is here, what the ceiling is.
You say that loud and proud. I am too. I love what JK's game is. I love where it's going.
Yeah.
And there were, if you really look, see, assists to me are such a tricky stat because you don't control the outcome of it.
Right.
And
right.
Like it's tricky. Like even assist opportunities, which I would say are how many of those you create are probably better than assists, but then that's also functioning on usage and like where you're at on the floor. But JK has shown, and why I've always felt differently, that he's not like Aaron Gordon. He's not like Shawn Marion. Not that he shouldn't do some of the things they do. There's nothing wrong with being a great cutter, offensive rebounding, running the floor, defending. No one who knows basketball is going to say those are negative things. Those are great things. JK can create advantages. JK can get anywhere he wants on the floor. And there's only so many dudes that can do that. And JK has this beautiful blend of like strength, athleticism, and handle. Like his ball handling has gotten better in 4 years than any player I've ever been around. It's
absolutely
unbelievable how much better it's gotten. So he can get wherever he wants. So now he can create these advantages that Shawn Marion, he was not an advantage creator. Aaron Gordon's not. But now if you can do those things and you can always score, get to the foul line and see the game, that's really dangerous. And he's shown in snippets that he can make these plays. It's just never been on full display. And I will say this offseason, that was the primary emphasis. We were working out with 5-6 bodies, and everyone would say, like, you know, you're working out with a bunch of little guards, but actually I can make an argument it's harder to hit passes against guards because they're quick.
Yes.
6'1" guys, they're little, they move a little quicker. So we were working against that all summer, of like him seeing the game, processing what he's seeing, different looks. One of my closest friends is a coach for the Washington Go-Go. His name's Cody Toppert. He's like to me a basketball genius. He's a savant, like with his brain. And one of the things, like I met with him early in the summer, and you know, he's very big on like not creating the same look twice in a row, like constantly stimulating a player's brain, especially a developing guy, to read, react, make decisions. So we did a ton of that. You know, credit to Anthony Wells, some of the other Dash who he trained with this summer, but we were using bodies, different looks so JK could see and process and just keep enhancing this like playmaking, and just keeping people honest, right? Keep seeing the game. And look, how much he'll show of it this year, I think it's dependent on who's on the floor, who's playing, but I think, you know, it'll come in handy and this team has a chance to be really good. So, you know, look, I don't be shy to say that. Like I'm all in on the JK. Like
I am too.
I bought all the stock in the world. Like
you and I feel like own all the stock, and we're going to be cashing in, man. I feel so good about it. And look, you don't have to comment on this. This is my opinion. I took huge issue with those comments that Kerr's made on multiple occasions about the comp to Shawn Marion, Aaron Gordon. Look, I'm a teacher. I'm a professor, and I've been for almost 15 years, and I've learned a lot having classrooms of students in terms of learning how to manage individuals. And look, I don't understand why you would set ceilings on individuals, why you would set these comps, especially when your client is aspiring to be Kobe, aspiring to be one of the all-time greats. And you have a coach like, you know, listing players who are amazing in their own right, but like why stunt an individual's dreams is what I'm trying to say. And especially when they're attainable, I really feel that. And again, you don't have to comment on that. And this is the last thing I'll say. And again, you don't have to comment on this either. This is just the impression I'm getting. And maybe it shows Kaminga's growth here and maturity, in that I feel like he is embracing what Kerr wants out of him this season. And I love also what he said to Mark Spears about the ultimate goal being a championship, because if they win a title this year, it's all going to work out. And that was the absolute right thing to say. I also think, and this is just the impression I'm getting, that Kaminga for this year is doing what his coach wants, so that short term, everyone's happy. And I think long term, that leads more likely to his own goals of the greatness he's aspiring for. And again, there's nothing wrong with aspiring for that, especially when you want championships, right? So that's the impression I'm getting. That's just my take on it.
I think this is, let me add one thing to what you're saying. I think JK also wants to win with the guys in the locker room. Like he wants to help Steph win and be part. Like he helped his rookie year, but like really help be part of like that championship run. He wants to be part of like playing in those big games, looking at Jimmy firing each other up in the fourth quarter. Like he wants to be part of that, and you can only get that so many places. So I think it's bigger for him more than helping his teammates, more than helping Steve. And listen, Steve is, what I have said, that like I've already on the record said what I've said about how I felt about some of those comments. But I also think when you're a coach, you're looking, and especially in a team like this, like Steve is looking, and he's openly said this, right? He's like looking at this team. He's not really looking at the future. So there are times like, you know, he's just so in the here and now, and he's going, okay, I need this versus like whatever. So, you know, I think there's part of it in that. And like Steve also, I will say this, I'll give him credit. Like in this sense, like Steve's the type of coach, he played with Michael Jordan. He's played with crazy people in the sense of, look, like you think I'm wrong, just like prove it. Like show me I'm wrong in his own way. Like, so, you know, it's not like something that, you know, I think Steve at the end of the day, and he said this multiple times, like he's been happy with the passing, the playmaking. And so, you know, I think that's great that he's complimenting JK. And I think it's great that they're seeing Steve's feeling more comfortable finding ways to use him, and JK's doing what Steve wants. Like nobody doesn't, you know, why would you go into anything not trying to make the best of it and make it work?
Absolutely. And again, I think Kaminga's handling this perfectly. He looks happy, which is huge for everyone. And I want to finish on this note, piggybacking off what you said about Steve, publicly really backing Kaminga with these interviews. He also had JK's back for that ejection, and then we learned there's a $35,000 fine for an inadvertent bump, which nobody even saw. At least televised. I'm sure it happened. I'm not disputing that. But my point is, it was a harmless a moment of contact and a $35,000 fine. I love that Kerr was so emphatically backing Kuminga from that incident. He mentioned in the public in the post-game press conference, he loved the passion from Kuminga and the energy. And I want to leave it on this note, which is far more lighthearted. I have had a massive issue with NBA officiating, and this is just one basketball fan to another talking right now. The NBA, I think, needs to do a lot of things to improve the game as a whole. Officiating is one of many variables that needs improvement. I don't appreciate Kaminga getting a $35,000 fine for that. I don't appreciate him getting ejected when all the replays show he was clearly getting nicked in the ankles on those drives, and there were non-calls.
Oh, he got fouled. We know that.
Yeah. So what's your take on NBA officiating? Your thoughts?
I mean, look, like I always want the game to be officiated the right way. I want to find the balance of not making a whistle every second, but like the right amount of contact allowed. Just like probably any fan. I also just like, you know, from the agent side of me, I'm going to look at my guys and go, well, you're going to get good calls. You're going to get bad calls, right? Like you got to keep playing. And, you know, not let it be something that, you know, deters your, hey, I don't want to go to the rim anymore because you just got to keep putting pressure on the officials. Sometimes it's going to go well. Sometimes it's not. You know, look, I don't mind what happened the other day. First of all, JK is not like a repeat offender of like,
right.
Like he got fouled. He was pissed. He let it out. And good. Like you needed to get that off your chest. You were playing a hell of a game. I think the regular season, like maybe he'll handle it a little differently, but all in all, like, I mean, look, I think it's a hard job, right? Like I've never been an official. I don't want to be an official. I never understood how officials work because it's like it's not a good job. Like if nobody knows you were there, you did a great job. Like if you know you're there, then that you did a bad job. So
I feel like if they're not talking about you, you did a good job. I feel like that's what I say.
Offensive lineman in football. It's like not a really serious like in terms of that. But I think you know, it could always get better. I like when the game is officiated where they allow the right amount of physicality. And it's not a foul shot every single time, and that you're honoring real shots, right? Versus like where it got a couple of years ago, like anybody throwing anything up. I think that's better for the game. With that said, like, I think JK is going to get the foul line a lot this year. So I'm sure there'll be nights we like the officials. I'm sure there's nights we'll probably think there's more calls, but that's part of the game. So
that's just one of many aspects of his game that I feel like the fan base does not appreciate enough.
What JK has in him, and this is early, but he's the type of dude, you saw it in Minnesota. He can get to the free throw line 15 times in a playoff.
Yes.
And one of the things, I think Steve said this years ago. He was not talking about JK. I think it was when he was the GM maybe for Phoenix, or he's commentating a game. And he said, he remembered playoff games where just like Michael Jordan going to the free throw line 15, 17 times on the road. Kill the crowd. You just keep going to the line. You just keep pressure on the rim. And that's what like the great players can do. And I think Minnesota series, JK showed that like his force. I say this to people all the time. JK has such a unique blend of, again, I said this earlier, quickness, strength, but craft and handling and pace. So he can you cannot keep him from the rim. He will get there. Now you may cut him off one time and then he's going to, back you down. I mean, he has such a package of moves to get where he wants that like he can get there as often as he wants, but the spacing has to be there. And so far it's been good. I've liked a lot of the early spacing we've seen with Al Quentin Post even out there where he's able to like have a clear runway to get to the rim.
This preseason to me, the roster construction, I am very optimistic, man. And my personal selfish hope is that Jonathan Kaminga is a Warrior for life. And he's like the face moving forward. I know he's playing a specific role right now because he's surrounded by all-time greats, and rightfully so. But selfishly, I want this to be Jonathan Kaminga's team for the next 15 years. And Aaron, I hope you and I maintain a good relationship during that whole stretch because I see nothing but great things coming, brother. I congratulations on having a client as amazingly talented and someone who actually has a heart, dude. He's a good kid. People do not respect that part of him enough, in my opinion. He's actually like a family-oriented individual. He's very empathetic. He's selfless. Congrats, brother. I feel like
JK is the man, and I'm excited for the Warriors. I think Mike built a very cool roster. That's how I'll put it. I think it's got a chance to be really good. I hope obviously this thing keeps growing and he does well and he stays healthy, right? That always helps. Team stays healthy, and there'll be setbacks. It's 82 games, but like a consistent, growth and figuring out how to like keep him doing what we're seeing in the preseason into the regular season and just keep growing and watering that while it leads to winning. So that's the hope, I think, for him, for us, for Steve, for everyone. Everyone's aligned on that sense. I mean, I think, and so.
I think so too. I'm insanely optimistic about this season, and let's hope for the best. You mentioned health, a vitally important variable that needs to go your way for it to be successful. Aaron, your company is Verus Basketball. Anything you want to promote there? Anything going on in life that we haven't mentioned that you think we should talk about before I set you free?
I'm really normally like more of a behind the scenes guy, but I just, I like doing the work. I like seeing the guys grow. We all as a company help pour into them, myself, Anthony Wells. There's a whole team behind.
Phenomenal trainer, by the
JK.
way.
There's a lot of people that JK's got a great team.
He does.
IG, who's his, social media /assistant /help.
Oh, that's my boy. Yeah. That's G's how I even. Yeah, I love G. His
business manager. JK has, great team around him, and we all try to really help, just give him the best advice, the best resources, and just help him keep pushing for that ceiling that he wants to. So nothing to really promote, just try to do the work, try to do as best we can, and try to help guys. I look forward every day working with JK because how many times you get to work with somebody that truly wants to be great? There's not that many guys out there.
Yeah.
If you've been around the NBA, that there's not as many as people think.
Absolutely. And if good things happen to Kaminga, good things are happening to the Warriors, and that makes the fans happy. So let's just all root for good things.
Most of the fans happy.
Absolutely, brother. Aaron, thank you, man. I know you're a busy man like everybody. I'm always eternally grateful for people to take time out to join the program. And thank you, brother. I really do appreciate it. People can follow you on all social media platforms. Is it the same handle at ARockTurner20?
It is, I think.
Perfect.
Yeah, it is.
So if you do have anything to announce, just follow Aaron on social media there. All right, brother. Thank you so much, man.
All right, Daze, take it easy, man.
And that was Aaron Turner. I think there might have been a technical glitch somewhere in the middle there. My apologies if for any reason you experienced something where it cuts out and back in. I had a momentary power issue at my home, at the home studios of Golden Daze. Anyways, sincerest thanks again to Aaron Turner. Awesome dude. He'll be back on the show soon. And again, we'll hopefully get Kaminga on the show sooner than later. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And let's hope this is the start of a very long relationship. I mean, best case scenario, JK is a member of the Warriors for the next 15 years. He becomes a superstar, not out of the realm of possibility, folks. It's strong possibility that could happen. And then he's a friend of the program. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine? This is the best case scenario. And sorry if I'm making this about the show and myself for a second here. Forgive me. Imagine a show that was covering the no, actually, imagine this show, but 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 15 years ago. Let's paint that scenario before we go. Imagine if Golden Daze was in existence 15 years ago in 2010. This would be Stephen Curry's first year, second year, and at that point, Steph did not have the amount of fans he has now. Now, he didn't have detractors. I'm sure he had some because him and Monte Ellis did not fit on the court together, and the Warriors made the wise move of moving on from Monte Ellis and not Stephen Curry. But Stephen Curry hadn't won over everyone yet at that point. I mean, if he had, the ankle injuries would not get in the way of him getting a huge contract. Instead, he signed a 4-year, $44 million deal to stay with the Warriors, a very team-friendly contract, kind of like Jonathan Kuminga's this previous offseason. And then Stephen Curry eventually became Steph, who hopefully will go down as one of the all-time greats, meaning his face will be on the NBA Mount Rushmore. That is my dream and aspiration for Stephen Curry in terms of his legacy. But in terms of this show, again, imagine if we were in existence 15 years ago and we were arguably Steph's biggest supporters, and then Steph recognized that, his agent recognized that, and then as Steph's career exploded, this was his show. That possibility could exist for Jonathan Kaminga. And oh my God, and again, that's best case scenario. Who knows what could happen? But nonetheless, Aaron Turner, thank you, brother, for coming on the program. If I did not ask him something you folks wanted me to ask, forgive me. Hit me up on social media. You can follow me on Threads and Instagram at Dog Wild, on Twitter at Surf Journalist, the program on both platforms at Golden Daze Pod. I am available, folks. You can also email me, warriors24pod@gmail.com. Side note, we still have inventory space for sponsorship. So if you're interested in being a sponsor of the program, hit us up. We currently have space and we're looking. So, but anyways, the best case scenario, something we're optimistic for, knocking on some wood right there, for Jonathan Kaminga to achieve greatness and will be his number one friend out there in the media scene. So that is best case scenario. We shall see. Nonetheless, thanks again to Aaron Turner. Incredibly grateful for his time. And I think that's it. Are we done? We're back. I don't know when you're going to be watching this. If you're watching on the weekend, the Warriors already played the Clippers, and that preseason game is over. If you're watching this on Friday, October 17th, stay tuned because we're back tonight for Warriors-Clippers postgame, the final preseason game for your Golden State Warriors before their season opener next Tuesday. It's here. Woo! Thank you, everybody. Thank you to Aaron Turner. I got the Nuggets player in my mind after that discussion. And thanks again to Aaron Turner, who has made an impression on me. And now that I actually know the guy, good stuff. And we'll be back at this soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.